How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to New Mexico State Men's Basketball News. I'm Marshall, and we have a brand new video for you guys today. There's a lot of dogs barking back there, not in the backyard, we don't have any dogs, but just in the neighborhood in general. So if you guys hear that in the back, I'm sorry. I know the previous video was a bunch of birds chirping in the background, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. So hopefully the dogs aren't as bad either. Hopefully they can calm down a little bit. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a former Aggie, DaJuan Gordon. Still thinking about making that Wendell McKinnis Jr. video that will be coming out soon. But some big news happened. I didn't realize DaJuan Gordon, he was actually playing in the basketball tournament. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a big basketball tournament that happens every year in July. And the winner gets, I believe, over about $1 million, I think. I can't remember if it goes to a charity or if they just get it for themselves. I'm not sure how it all works. But it's just really entertaining to watch. Marcus Keene's a great basketball player that's always in it. For the team he plays on, I can't remember what it is, but it's a team, something with cancer, I think, how they're fighting for breast cancer. I'm not too sure. Could be wrong on that. He was a great college player, averaged about 30 points per game where he was at. And just was a big-time scorer and does a lot of great things in that league. They have many former NBA players and just really great basketball players in general, professional basketball players, college basketball players, even Devontae Freya, who's a very well-known basketball YouTuber, has played in it. Devin the Lab, who in my opinion is the best basketball YouTuber skill-wise, was coaching some teams, his team in the lab and all that. So he had to be really good to play in it, and he was playing in it. For the Purple Rain, it has to do with former Kansas State players. He played at 4 different colleges: New Mexico State, Kansas State, Missouri, and most notably UT Arlington this past year, where he led them to the WAC championship against GCU, who kind of considered a rival with NMSU. They did lose that game, but he had a great year overall, had his best year statistically out of all his college years. He's a Power 5 player early in his college basketball career, was able to dominate in the lower levels in the WAC, and he played for the WAC in 2 years for the Aggies there last year in the WAC, and then UT Arlington. He was a part of the hazing group back in the 2022-23 season, but we're not going to talk about anything about that ordinary. And he had nothing to do with any of it, not from what any fans know. And he's actually a guy that most people really liked him on that team. A lot of people said that was his favorite player, or that they were his favorite player because he wasn't involved in any of the incidents, on the shooting, on the hazing, and he always just came in and worked hard. And Keelan, a good friend of mine from the basketball team last year, said that whenever he was committing to New Mexico State, DaJuan was like the only one still there, working out, getting better each and every day, really focused on his craft. Probably the hardest worker on that team from that year. Even though it was a really down year, he was the only really positive from that team. So let's just get right into him. Like I was saying, I know you guys are waiting for that Wendell video, or at least I've been talking about doing it, and that is going to come out. I don't want to make any guarantees when it's going to come out because I've been saying it's going to come out really soon. I just keep on making new videos. That's because new stuff keeps coming up. And again, be used to that because I might say something's going to happen, but then other news happens. Like I said, I had no idea DaJuan was playing. I didn't watch the game. I wish I could. I looked some highlights. Saw he had some really amazing block. I don't think I'll be able to put it on the screen because of copyright, but he had a snatch block. If you guys look it up on YouTube, DaJuan Gordon block, or just go to Instagram, look at his Instagram. He has it on there. It was an amazing block. It was like I think Manu Ginobili had a block like that, where he had like a double. There was some player in the NBA that had a big block. I mean, there's a lot of guys who have done that. It was a block off the backboard too, so it was awesome. He just palmed it with his hands. Got some big ass hands. He's a great defender too. Did really great things on the defensive end in the game today against Team Colorado. They lost 67-71, so they're out in the first round. Unfortunately, I think you have to win 6 games. It's kind of like a NCAA tournament format. It's like 64 teams, and then you have to win 6 games overall. He played in 18 minutes off the bench, so was able to get some valuable playing time. Wasn't starting, but there's a lot of great players that have played at Kansas State in the past and currently. So for the fact that he was even able to get 18 minutes, almost 20, is huge. Played a lot of minutes, did a lot of great things, scored 5 points, grabbed 3 rebounds, was really great on defense, had that snatch block I was talking about earlier. That was an amazing block. He got up there, showed off his athleticism a little bit, showed off his athleticism throughout the game on the defensive end and just overall. He had 2 steals, great game for him overall. His plus minus was pretty high, shot 2 for 4 from the field. I think he hit a 3 or maybe he had a free throw, I can't remember, but shot pretty well. Didn't shoot the ball a whole lot, but did his job, was efficient. The way I was seeing him play kind of reminded me how Bronny plays sometimes in the summer league or even his way up in college and high school. How he wasn't like trying to go out there and score the most points. He was just doing what he had to do to help the team win. I think DaJuan Gordon, in my opinion, is out better than Bronny. I think DaJuan has a chance to be in the NBA. I think he did enter the draft. I'm not sure if he followed through with it or if he backed out of the draft. If he didn't think he was going to get drafted, it was a weak year in the draft. I thought he had a good chance of getting drafted. I really wish he did. I really hope he has a chance to make it in the future, to make it 17 former Aggies to make it there. If there were any player from that 2023 team to make it, I would love for him to. There's a lot of guys I thought they were going to make from that team, and I think they're a little, I don't know why they thought that, because I think a lot of them were good, but just not good enough to do that. And they were only 9-15 overall, 2-10 in conference, technically 2-16 because they had to forfeit the rest of the season, which is weird because it was 2-16 overall, but it didn't forfeit the whole season. So you look at the record, this is 9-15 overall, then conference 2-16, which is kind of weird. But I don't like to count the games at the forfeit. I wish they didn't have to forfeit those because it gave a lot of teams free wins, and then the seeding was all weird. I wish they just would have, minus a game for the teams that didn't play. But then that means some teams only have 17 games played, some teams only have 18 games played. I think they could have rescheduled some games in there. Instead of like some teams who were supposed to face us, like Arlington State or GCU again, they could have faced off against each other or another team. I don't know. It would have been hard to work out, but it was just all chaos. He did great things today. Today's Saturday. This video is hopefully going to tomorrow on Sunday. But he had a great college basketball career in general, so let's get right into that. I'm assuming he was a great high school basketball player too, to be able to play Division I basketball in big boy schools, and then just at 4 schools in general. That's not easy to do. Transferring a lot. He was great at every school he went to. I just feel like he wanted better fits on any team he was at. And that's actually funny. He actually played with Ezeagu at Kansas State, who was an Aggie this past season. And he also played with Davion Bradford, I believe, too, who was also at Kansas State at the time. They were all teammates. All didn't play at NMC at the same time, but DaJuan was there 2023, Casey was there this past year, and then Davion was there this past year too, but he didn't play, didn't get his waiver cleared. Not sure why he had to have a waiver cleared. I'm not sure if he was hurt or if something was going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about. But he's at a different school now. I can't remember where it's. I think it was, what was it, in Tennessee, East Tennessee or something like that. Hopefully he can do his thing down there, and hopefully DaJuan can continue to do his thing professionally. Well, I guess he's not on a professional team, but he played in the TBT, which is kind of like professional basketball, you could say. The Enchantment did play in the 2 former Lobos, and they lost, so wahoo. I mean, I don't like to prey on people's downfalls, but did not want to see them win. It was funny the last year because they wanted, with the whole, everything that was going on with the rival, they wanted to kind of calm things down, so they joined forces. So it was like former Aggies and former Lobos. And I think they won one and lost one. I think they beat Texas Tech, actually, that's what it was. And they might have won 2, actually. They were balling out. But yeah, he started his career off at Kansas State in the 1920 season. He was there for 1920 season and the 2021 season. Both years were affected due to COVID. His freshman year averaged about 6 points. His sophomore year, he upped that to about 9 points. Did pretty well overall. He didn't start a whole lot his freshman year, but he started most games his sophomore year, started 22 out of 25 games. I'm not sure why he transferred. Maybe he just wanted a better fit, so he went to Missouri after that. Did some good things there as well. He was able to average 8 points there, so similar stats to what he was averaging at Kansas State. So did some great things, Big Five, or how was I say Big Five, in the Big 12, Power 5 level, and then the SEC. But he decided to transfer down. I wouldn't say transfer down because it's still Division I, but just to the WAC. So a little bit less of a competitive conference, but still competitive overall. Also, I was going to mention this earlier. I'm not sure which schools he was looking at before he even started college basketball. I'm not sure what offers he got from anywhere. I know he chose Kansas State, but I'm not sure if he had offers from other schools as well. Maybe he was offered by Missouri. Maybe he was offered by NMC. Maybe he was offered by UT Arlington, and then ended up joining them later on. When he was with the Aggies, he played 23 out of 24 games. I can't remember. I think he was hurt one of the games. I'm not too sure. Because again, they only played 24 games due to the whole incidents that were going on. He started in about 16 of them. I thought he should have been starting in more of them. I remember in the first, the exhibition game against Western New Mexico, he was going off. He had 4 threes right in the first half. Didn't have any more after that. I don't think he even scored after that, but he had 12 points. Did some great things. He didn't score in his actual first game when we played against New Mexico Highlands. I was kind of upset about that because I was like, dude, this dude played Power 5 basketball. He should be killing for us. But he came back, did some good things, averaged 9 points a game, a little over 9 points. It was his best season in college basketball thus far. But he had an even better year this past year at UT Arlington. He led UT Arlington to the WAC championship, like I said earlier, against GCU, where they lost. I think they lost by about, what was it? They lost by 14 or something, I think. But the whole game, I watched the entire game. I had some pizza. It was during spring break, and no one was on campus. So I just watched that game, tagged him and all that when I was, making my posts and all that. He did some great things overall in the season, but he kind of struggled in that game. Only had about 7 points. I think he had 5 rebounds. For the season, he averaged 13 points and 8 rebounds, which were both career highs, almost averaged a double-double. And he was averaging a double-double for most of the season. His rebounds went down a little bit towards the end of the season, but he was even averaging at one point. I think he had 24 points in his first game. Can't remember who they played. They did play against Texas Tech. They did play against Sam Houston State. They played against UNM as well. So a bunch of teams that, NMCU has faced, and just a bunch of really great teams in general. He played good enough for him to enter the draft. Again, I'm not sure if he backed out. I just know he didn't get drafted, but again, hopefully he can make it in the future. He missed the game. I'm not sure if he was hurt or what it was. Out of 34 games played this year for UT Arlington, he played in 33 of them. Started in 30. Probably should have started all of them. He was a 5th-year senior, but just did great things. A lot of times, 5th-year seniors, they might be a little bit older, so they're not as healthy. Or you can use it to your advantage and use hey, I'm more of a man than these guys. I've been in college basketball, use that experience, and he did just that, had his best year. Overall, really happy with how DaJuan played in his college basketball career and how he played for the Aggies. Again, even though it was a devastating year, he did his thing, and glad that he was able to showcase his skills in the TBT for a little bit. Hopefully he can play in it next year or for years to come in the future and have more of a chance to win the whole tournament and do great things overall. The biggest thing about his game is that he's a great rebounder. He's 6'5", big guard. Likes to run the 2 or 3. I'm sure he can run the 1 if he really needs to, but that's not really his thing. He can shoot the ball really well. He's probably one of our best shooters on that team that year. He's probably been one of the better shooters on every team he's been on. He's just always had a great impact, no matter what level he's playing at. It's always been Division I, but whether it's a Power 5 level or a mid-major, if you're to play low major, he'd dominate there too, but he's too good to be playing there. His defense is super, super good. I know I've been saying that a lot, but it really is. Like I said, he almost averaged 2 steals this year. Well, I didn't say that earlier, but I did now. Averaged about a steal and a half for his whole college basketball playing career. Had some, averaged about half a block a game as well for his basketball career, which is pretty good for a 6'5" guard. Like I said, had a huge block in today's game. Really gets up, just works really hard on the defensive end, just as much as he does on the offensive end. A really great two-way player. I'd call him a 3-and-D player, but he can do more than just shoot the 3-ball on offense. He can, facilitate for his teammates, drive to the rim. Like I said, he's got some good strength, can use that in the paint to his advantage. I'm not sure what the percentages were, like how many points he got from 3 or like what percentage he scored in the paint. But he's a 3-level scorer, could shoot the 3-ball well, could shoot the midi when he needed to, and could score at the rim. I liked his shot. His shot was really nice and smooth. I like how I say liked, like he doesn't play anymore, like he's still playing. So hopefully he can, keep improving his game, keep improving his shooting, his defense, and just do great things for years to come professionally. I wish his free throws were just as good as his shooting. He only shot about 75% from the free throw line for his college basketball career, which isn't bad at all. It's honestly looked at, for some people it looked at as good, but again, for a 6'5" guard, would wish that be a little bit higher. But like I said multiple times, you guys are probably getting tired of me saying it. I'm kind of getting tired of saying it. A lot of Aggies, former Aggies, whether they're for 4 years or just 1 year, however long it may be, just aren't the greatest free throw shooters for whatever reason. His percentages from 3 also weren't the greatest. It was like 30-something%. But like he was, if you leave him open, he's going to knock that down. You can't leave him open. He's a guy you got to make sure you're guarding at all times. And if not, he's going to make you pay. He was just really efficient overall, too, just from the field. Shooting about 46% this past season. Shooting 55% just off mid-ranges. Like, that's awesome. You don't see that a lot. No guys in the NBA like Paul George do that. Paul George has a lot of moves to him. So he'll do a lot of moves to create a shot. DaJuan, he just goes up there and gets the buckets. He'll just dribble right into it. Kind of reminds me of Devin Booker in a way. How he just gets his buckets. He doesn't need to be doing a whole lot of dribbling. He can just go out there and get buckets, get 20 off 4 or 5 dribbles, similar to how Klay Thompson does it. Throwing a lot of NBA comparisons towards DaJuan. He's obviously not as good as those guys. That'd be awesome if he was, but he's just not. Again, he can work hard to get to the NBA like those guys. Wouldn't have as much of an impact as those guys, but hopefully if he were to make the NBA in the future, which again, I think he will if he works hard for it, I know he'll definitely get there, assuming that's still something he wants to do or just professionally playing basketball, kind of like Serge Rice or Davion. I'm sure if he works hard just like those guys, I'm sure he'll get his opportunity and play very well and do great things and get the same bucks they did in college and in the TBT for any team he's on. Overall, that's going to do for the video. I feel like I'm kind of dragging it on, talking about how great of a player DaJuan is. I never got to talk to him, unfortunately, but, he's seen some of the stuff I posted on my account. Even though he's not an Aggie anymore, he still supports the stuff a little bit. He's liked a couple of the posts here and there I've done about him. And, I DM'd him a couple times, like, hey, good game, bro, like, whenever he was playing for us. I saw him on campus a couple times. I even saw him at the activity center one time playing basketball, but I was playing on the other courts and all that. But really cool, chill dude. Again, even though I never talked to him, I've heard he's a chill dude from other people like Keelan, and even some big Aggie fans were telling me that was their favorite player from that year. So great player, great person, and wishing the best for him, wishing the best of luck to him for his basketball career going forward. And that's all I have for the video, and I'm out.